So, hey guys, Chauzu here. So this is going to be a One Piece Treasure Cruise 101, where I try to explain mechanics in One Piece Treasure Cruise. And today, we're going to take a look at Kizaru and Fuji and their unique ability to enhance your crit. So basically, they do two things. First, the crit rate gets boosted by 30%, so basically I imagine that if you have a 70% crit rate, it gets buffed to 100%. And then they also increase the damage done by crits by 75%. And from the damage I've seen, I think it just tacks on 75%, so a 10% crit becomes 85%, for example. It fits them well since they do have a 10% damage boosting crit, which is good. Their crit is actually perfect, so they don't need any help with the boost. But they do have a final tap, so that works well since final tap is only really the very final attack of your tap, and crits only really boost the damage of the very final combo you have. So most units have 4 combos, and the final combo will get boosted. So yeah, it's like the perfect storm for trying to maximize the crit damage. Crit normally is not that great, so we'll see if this can change things. So I'm not going to be able to do any exact science for this. I'm not a big math guy. The math guys will have to figure out, like, how do we rate this buff? Like, is it like 1.5 times attack boost, 1.75 times attack boost, 1.25 times attack boost? I can't calculate that. What I can do is set up a team that I use 2 times. One time I make use of the crit buff, and the other time I don't, and we can compare the damage difference. So that's basically what we're doing in this video. So we're back to my old friend Colosseum Dagama, which is just a great place for testing, so I figured I'd go there. And I just try to put together a shooter team that does pretty respectable damage, just to see, like, how profound will the difference be. One thing to keep in mind when testing stuff like this is that you really need to make sure that it's the same each time. And one annoying thing with Fuji and Kizaru special is that it's just not the crit, it's also the increased chain buff, which is why I have ISO on the team, so I can kind of block it from Kizaru and Fuji to really make sure it's the same in both attempts. But yeah, we have most of the important buffs here. We have a lot of chain, we have attack boost, war boost, color affinity, and we even have 2 conditionals, so there's not much to complain about. Like, shooters are not the best for max damage, but I did an honest attempt. Could have maybe maximized it even more, but I figured this is enough. See, there's actually RNG if Fuji Kizaru kills all the mobs there, which is why I brought Luffy Boa, just so they can finish them off, because when all mobs are dead, Dagama will resummon them. And I want 6 mobs just so I can get the maximal damage here. So yeah, basically I'm going to get the Super Tandem attack boost, and then I'll just finish with Fuji and Kizaru and Dagama, and we will see how much damage do we actually do here. Yeah, there we see. Let's take a look in slow motion. That's a pretty good damage for a shooter team, actually. Easily the highest damage I've done with shooters. Not that that's something I like to try. Shooters are definitely one of the worst classes when it comes to maximizing damage. But yeah, let's take a look here. How much did they do with their final tap? And yeah, we did just over 2 billion, if my math is correct. So that's what we're going to compare with. So now we see with crit, we were able to reach over 2 billion damage. Now let's do the same thing, with the only difference being not having the crit. And let's see how much damage are we talking about. So yeah, in order to replicate this, we need to be in duo form, so I'll use their special one stage early. Thankfully they are a 3-turn duo unit with special, otherwise this would have been a hard experiment, but now it's pretty easy. So now we're doing the exact same thing, only difference is that final stage we don't use Fuji and Kizaru special. So that's the only change we're doing, but everything else is literally the same. We have the same buffs, we only lack the extra crit. So this was actually very interesting to see, because as said, crit has usually not been that great. So can this actually make crit viable? And we're going to have that discussion after we have the results. But it's pretty clear already, just from the info we have, that this is not going to be the main buff you want. But the question is this something viable you could try and put, or can you just ignore it altogether? So let's see here. Let's do the burst, and we're doing the exact same thing as before. Overall damage won't be the same, we're just caring about the damage that Fuji and Kizaru does, which should be the same, minus the crit. And as you saw, this was less damage. The question is how much less, and apparently from my calculations I did 43% less damage from Fuji and Kizaru. Remember, we're only talking about Fuji and Kizaru here. So as you see here, first with crit we did over 2 billion. Now we did 1.4 billion, a bit about that, so like around a bit over 500 million less, 43% less damage. So the question is then, how good is crit? And I would say that with crit I did more the extra damage than I thought, so it's probably not a useless mechanic, but I also don't think it's the best. The way I see it, if we get an OP legend who does a lot of other strong stuff, and they add crit on that legend, then that crit will be great. But crit is not so good that it can carry any legend. Like, I still think Fuji and Kizaru is the worst legend of the year, because they don't do that much. Like, just increase chain and crit, and it's for 2 classes you really want to do a lot of damage with. So yeah, you just won't end up wanting to use them that much. And another weakness with crit is that it's like the only buff where you need a specific potential ability to get that extra damage. So crit better than I thought, might be good, but this unit in particular is not that great. But yeah, that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching, guys. See you next time.